Welcome to EVE 2020. It is May 28th. I am Matterall. Let's talk about EVE Online. So we are a couple days after the latest update for May, which included a number of things, mostly some Triglavian changes. By Triglavian, we're talking about NPCs invading Empire space, normally a more pacified space, and turning it upside down. Some of the stuff looks like it had been bugged. It is now confirmed that it was not bugged. It's working all as intended. It's just very mysterious into what the events are that unfold. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Also some sales and from CCP and some other stuff going on. But first, let's go to the PCU. Looking at it, it looks like it's peaked up at around 35,000. That's far lower than it was over the weekend and even before that. But it was a 3-day weekend, so that might have been it. So we're looking at 42,000 PCU. That's concurrent players. And now it's down to just over 30. That is an interesting sign. Not worrying at this point, but something to look at. Another thing to look at is just how flat that curve is. That used to be a mountain with a huge valley, and that valley is filled in nicely. That means players are playing in the wee hours of the game. So it's full a lot more often with lower peaks than it was before. That is a very good sign. It's just as important as the population is how many people are playing when you're on. Okay, let's move over to Dotlan. Most violent regions in the last 24 hours. In 0 tax 0 space, the top 3 are Delve with 779 ships destroyed, Vale in second, 639 ships destroyed, and Geminate, 550 ships destroyed. Empire region, the Forge tops the list with 1,938 ships destroyed. Domain in second place with 2,461. And in third place, Lone Trek, 2,007. Now you're wondering how the Forge could top the list with less than second place and third place. 900 pods were destroyed in the Forge. And that puts it over on top. Otherwise, it would be Domain, Lone Trek, and then the Forge. Most violent systems. Looking at 0-0 here. Pureblind, 5-ZXX, TAC K, 305 ships destroyed in the last 24 hours. And Geminate, the system of KR TAC V6G. That's KR TAC V6G, had 212 ships destroyed. And finally, in third place, Ethereum Reach LXQ2 TAC T had 151 ships destroyed. Most violent systems in low sec. Taimat tops the list with 415 ships destroyed. Rancer, 127. And Mudokon in Molden Heath, 160 ships destroyed. That's not one we usually see, but that is near faction warfare, if not in faction warfare. And Rakapas comes in fourth, by the way, with 132. Looking at most violent systems, not regions, for high sec, and Narja tops the list with 1,180. That's a large percentage of the overall domain destruction in the last 24 hours. Jita in second place, 550. And Lozantin and Derelict, 652. That's a lot for that system. Also in domain, Sierra D, and that's 366. There's something about that system. I think that system is one of the systems being attacked by Triglavians. So 366 ships destroyed there. Let's go ahead and look at SOV changes. This guy's United Earth Directorate picks up territory in Aquarius. It's kind of a vacant no man's land. So I think they're going to try their hand at controlling some of those systems. We'll see how they do. It's only 2 corporations. I like these guys' naming style. The United Earth Directorate and UED Expeditionary Fleet. Good for them. 108 characters in there.
So that name's a StarCraft reference.
Oh, is that right? Okay. A little less inventive, but I'll still give it to them. It sounds cool. It's in the tradition of sci-fi. Darwinism. I think the Darwinism are locals in Fountain, I believe, losing 5 systems. Let's have a look at what those systems were. No, they're in Aquarius, so they gave up some systems there. Test Alliance loses 2. Not a big deal. Lilicon Monopoly. Let's see who they are. Scalding Pass. That's where a lot of groups get their start. So, Lolly. I like that. Lolicon Monopoly. What's that a reference to?
You don't want to know. You really don't want to know.
Okay, I'll reserve my like for it then. All right, looking at alliance movements. Defensive Order of Mayhem, also known as Doom. We've been watching these guys grow over the last few days. They're up to 753. Mostly in the form of the Student Council Corporation. And yeah, so I'd like to find out more about them. It's the Student Council, I think. Yeah, we'll look into them. Don't know if they're picking up Sov anywhere, but they're growing as an alliance. They packed on 420, 430. So did Pandemic Horde. They packed on 420. They're already big. Over 20,000 characters. And these are probably just joining the big corporation there, Pandemic Horde Inc. Pandemic Horde. Everybody knows who they are. If they don't, you will know who they are. Let's see. Volta picks up Origin Corporation. We saw that in the last few days. Black Legion loses Origin Corporation, so they're down 400, while Volta is up 300. Requiem Eternal picks up 260 members, and Silent Company continues to build on their gargantuan players base. Silent Company picks up 238 new players. And Fraternity also picks up 207. Those are small percentages for those big corporations. I'm talking about Fraternity and Silent Company, and even Pandemic Horde. But let's look at Requiem Eternal. Yeah, it looks like they picked up a new corporation. That's what gave them their bump. Gamilla Security and Logistic Service. So that's 256 members there. Let's see. These guys are in Impasse. Impasse and Tenerifis. I think they are part of Legacy. In fact, I'm pretty sure. And I think that's it for the Alliance. Let's see what Silent Company's up to now. Jeez, they're bigger than Horde. 23,000. That's not 2,000. That's 23,500. If they all vote for their CEO to be on the CSM, that's a shoo-in. So now you know how to get on the CSM if you don't have a constituency, and that is build a 20,000 character alliance. Build your own voting block. Let's go to the Killboards. We definitely have some things to look at. The Tiamat was killed. We'll get to that in just a second. Looks like in catch, we had a Loki, usually not a big deal, but this Loki was worth 34 billion. So we got to see what's going on there. This belonged to Evictus. It was killed by Simple Farmers in WD TAC VTV. That's catch, by the way. Looks like this, all the values in the cargo. Oh, it's a blueprint carrying ship. Yeah, it's 34 billion in the cargo hold. Looks like it was carrying a ton of blueprints. It's hard to really value blueprints. Their paper value is, I should say their on-paper value is different than their actual value because these get researched if they are originals.
For the most part, it seems to be just a capital component set, which is usually worth somewhere in the range of 20, 25-ish.
Yeah. It's weird. It used to be undervalued, but now at 34 billion, that's overvalued.
Well, there's more stuff in there too, right?
Okay.
But that's the majority of it.
Yeah.
There's a couple duplicates, etc.
Yeah, these values that are marked here are the market value. If you buy it from the market, that's how much it will cost you. But if you research it, that's time invested into it. And some of these you can invest months into researching them to be more efficient. And then those are worth not only the street value, but they're worth a lot more, or not only the retail value, but they're worth a lot more than that.
Assuming these are research, which is not guaranteed, the whole set's probably worth about 45 to 50.
Yeah. So trying to move it to Loki, it was someone from Evictus.
Move it in or move it out is the question.
Yeah. Okay, next we have a Titan down. And Titan prices are going up, so this may be mostly the hull. But Ragnorak went down. That belonged to Jade Briscool. And it went down in Essence, of all places. That's Empire in Palmon. But it is low sex. It's the only place you'll find those kinds of ships. They're too big for secure space. And they were killed. It was killed by Coastal Brotherhood. Might as well take a peek.
It looks like a mix of various low-sec hunters. I've recognized some of them as people who get on Ivana kill mails.
Ah. Thanks. Yeah, most of it is the hull, I think. Yeah, for sure, most of it. But all right, so Jade lost Ragnarok's big kill for Coastal Brotherhood. Also in Perimeter, you recognize that system, Billy. Perimeter, the Paladin, which is a Black Ops ship, was destroyed worth 20 million. Oh, it's a Marauder. Thank you. Yeah, that's worth a lot, but not 20 billion. So let's see. Let's see. Cargo hold was holding 18 billion in mostly Federation fleet. Oh, tags. That's interesting. Yeah, it was.
It's a lot of ratting.
Yeah, this is the this is the guy's pool. So he'd done a lot of NPC ratting, and he was taking it to the market. It looks like that hurts. Do all that work and then get it taken away from you before you can turn it in. Paul from State War Academy, NPC Corporation. Losing a Paladin full of loot. Best Thunder loses Fortizar to Hard Knocks. That's probably an eviction. When they're destroying your home in your wormhole, you're probably being evicted. So let's go to the big kill of the evening yesterday. And this is a Tiamat, which is a rare. I think it's Force Recon. Let me see.
Yeah, it's the Force Recon.
Yeah, Force Recon ship. It's given away to winners or high-ranking people in the Alliance tournament. This is an AT ship. And they're very, very special. There's only a few of them that exist. And therefore, their cost is enormous. This one went for 240 billion.
Right now, there will be only 48 potential Tiamats in the game, the first one being lost about a year ago. The real value of the Tiamat is estimated at about 350 to 400, possibly 450 billion per ship.
Or you can buy one on the forums for 280 right now, according to the sell threads.
Those are pretty different. Really? This is being sold on the market?
Yeah, there's always a few on the e-forums. There's one right now. Like I was just curious, so I looked. And there's one sitting there right now for 280. It looks like the seller.
Well, it seems to have gone down since the
Yes.
last.
Since you mentioned it a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, it's all right. It's all right. It happens. These things are things you can't put a price tag on very easily because it depends on what somebody will pay for it. So if somebody is unaware would pay 300 billion. But that alone, 240 billion, 280 billion, whatever, it's numbers that are unimaginable to most players. So this thing was killed in OP7 TAC BP. That's Paragon Falls. We have some audio of it being destroyed, but there's not really much there. The guy was gracious. The guy that owned this and flew this and died in it was pretty gracious, pretty calm. But I really like you could hear the pressure that he was under, knowing that he was getting trapped because the people who killed this ship were fraternity, and they had baited him into a trap, caught him, and then executed the kill. What do you guys know about it?
I managed to get the perspective of Gackle, the person who lost a ship, and there were also some members of the from that fraternity fleet that were in the TRS Discord that spoke of it. But what had happened was Gackle was in OP7 for quite a while with the Tiamat, and they decided to try and so they sent in the Deimos over there, flown by all of 02, and once they were in position, they warped in to the Cheesus onto him to point him, and immediately a Hugin. The group that killed him is I guess a special group in Frat. They're known for their aggressive and very expensive ships, and aggressively responding to defend their space. And they're called D-Line.
All right. Well, thanks for that. So, anything else on the Tiamat? All right, we'll move on. That's a big kill. That's the week highlight, really. By the way, we have some information on that ratting Nyx, right? Yesterday we looked up this Nyx antipod that was built for speed. This was really a glass cannon. It just had... actually, we can probably look it up.
I managed to get some more information, and it turns out I'm wrong on a few things, but the details of the kill were right. This guy was just purely crabbing with that Nyx. But how they managed to get the kill was, well, there was actually another super in the system, but that one had already gotten out when they caught this one.
Yeah, so what I want to clarify is that it was confusing to us because this thing was built for speed and it's a super capital, but that apparently is the meta for ratting in Nyxes. So, joke is on me. Wasn't not something that I do all the time, so it's foreign to me to have a ship this big built for speed and cap. Is that right, Villy? Is this kind of the loadout for ratting, or is this unusual?
It's pretty standard Nyx. I mean, it's a little off normal, but how people choose to run their super ratter is kind of their call. Like the fact it has no DDAs is definitely odd, but the rest is like not.
Oh,
Great.
I managed to get some information on that, and the DDAs and the omnidirectional links and tracking enhancers are in the cargo. Sadly, they didn't drop, but this Nyx it was fitted for transport at this moment, and it was meant to move from system to system ratting. And because it had all of its DDAs and equipment in its cargo slot, it was in the process of moving to a system to set up ratting.
Okay, that makes sense now. So I just didn't realize they were so stripped down. Wow.
Normally supers don't really like gate around when they move or something, like, or even sino around. Like, why would you go in a fit full of capper charges when you're moving? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, that's 2007.
Somebody in the Small Gang Discord mentioned a trick, like downtime, using the downtime and the cavalry charge to be able to jump out immediately as soon as logging in, after downtime.
Well, he jumped at 1833 Eve time.
But it's fitting. All of its routing fitting is in the cargo, but it didn't.
All right. Well, this was Lana Trade from Legion of X Death. A little bit unusual, but I assume within the standards of what a ratting Nyx looks like these days. It got tackled and killed. Who actually got that one again? It was Strix Rydens. Don't know what group that is.
They're a C205 Small Gang Wormhole group. Their CEO is Tin Beer. They're some friends of ours.
All right. Well, you got a lot of friends. Trust me, I know. I know what that's like. But good. All right. So also after the Tiamat kill, we'll go back to another Nyx that was destroyed yesterday. It belonged to Initiative Mercenaries. It was killed by Losechnia Shulpin. The originals, Losechnia Shulpin, were the whale hunters, the Russian whale hunters that lived in Iridia and probably still are close to there. This Nyx here that belonged to Initiative Mercenaries was killed in Genesis in Otakod. 19 bill for that ship. That's about standard these days. And that is the kills for... Well, there's one more here. We talked about Night Nova Union of Killjoy Elite was being evicted from a wormhole by Unchained Alliance. And it looks like they lost Fortizar. And that might be in addition to an Asbel they lost before. I'm going to tap over to their group. You can see the ships they're using to get out or defend. I'm trying to find their structures. Oh, there it was. It was at least one Fortizar. Here's the Asbel. Wait, yeah, there's the... Oh, they lost an Athenor, a Fortizar. So, yeah, they've lost at least 2 or 3 structures. All right, those are the kills. On the timer boards, Outer Passage, Circle of Hell. Remember them? We talked about them a few weeks ago. We postulated that they were, their name was associated with Inner Hell, but they're not. This is Circle of Hell is separate. They are a renting group, I believe. Billy, they're out in your neck of the woods, right? Outer Passage is not far from your area. Are you familiar with them?
Who, sorry?
Circle of Hell?
Up in the drones, is my understanding, right?
Yeah, Outer Passage. I thought that was near you. Okay. And Veil of the Silent has a couple of timers. So does Deckline. That's all in the same area. And the Bastion has a couple timers coming out now within 7 hours. So let's see what happens there. Yeah, Circle of Hell has a ton of timers in Outer Passage. What's up, Apollo 428? Yeah, but last we heard Circle of Hell was a renting group. All right, let's go to some CCP news. Hypernet Relay, 0% fee, and that is the tax that was on Hypernet transactions. So this thing came out in December. It's called Hypernet, and it's essentially a raffle system inside the game. It costs you 10% to sell an item on it. Of course, you could mark it up tremendously and make a profit even with that 10% fee. Half that 10% fee was in straight taxes when you put up a new order, and the other half was in the value of the hypercores that you were spending in order to facilitate the transaction. So it was a total of 10. So what CCP is doing, because it looks like Hypernet has slowed down, is they're taking the actual tax part off. So that is 5% to 0% for a limited time. And that starts on June 4th. Sorry, it ends June 4th. So I guess now until June 4th, you have 5% less tax when you're playing on the Hypernet. You're still going to lose 5% on the hypercores. So it's not free to put stuff up. And if it doesn't sell, you didn't lose anything. You will still lose 5%, but it won't be 10%. Okay, there's other stuff too here. Mostly Tiamat destruction and freighter kills. That's all I got right now. Do you guys have anything? All right. Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, I needed to scroll up. I was looking for that. It's the same post. 10% Plex sale, May 28th through June 2nd. So that is today. Through June 4th for Hypercore. Sorry, for Hypernet, it's through the 4th. But the sale ends on June 2nd. So those are different dates. And that is 10% off Plex sale. But you have to buy 500 Plex or more. The 500 Plex is equivalent to 30 days of game time. And they don't have a link to the store on here. That would have been a good thing. Let's see if I can bring it up, conjure it up here. Here's the actual sale.
What I found interesting about that is Plex prices were just beginning to rise, and then they bring out the sale, which tells me that they had prices down where they wanted them to be. So, you know, what does that mean of the value of Plex? Again, yet again.
Well, yeah, funny thing, the prices have been going down for Plex for a while. And then they announced, that is CCP announced, that they were going to change the pricing configuration for anyone who paid in rubles. That would be Russian currency. And it was essentially going to go up, I think we determined 40 to 60% is what we heard, making it more expensive to play if you're paying with Russian currency. And so that doesn't kick in until June 1st. So what we've seen is a lot of pressure to buy Plex, so that you can get out. If you're going to use rubles to buy Plex, you're going to do it now, I assume. Or you're going to buy up Plex so that you don't have to pay in rubles after the price goes up. So demand on Plex went up because people are buying it up. And the prices jumped up a little bit. But we're talking, the highest Plex has ever been was 4.47 million per unit. It has dropped down to, on average, it drops down to about 3.2 or 3.3 million per unit. Right now it's down, it got down to 2.5 area per unit, which is really low. It hasn't been that low in about 2 years, 3 years, maybe 3 years. So it's now jumped up to about a 2.7, 2.8 per unit with the demand for people who are buying it up before June 1st. So this sale will attempt to push that down. And I think the question that you're raising is CCP throwing the sale up to kind of push it back down towards 2.5 or lower? I don't know if they move that fast with sales. It's possible that their marketing department reacts to in-game events or in-game behaviors, but it's unlikely. I think their marketing department is totally separate from their in-game stuff that's going on, or the market, or any of that. I don't think they use sales necessarily to manipulate the price of PLEX. I could be wrong, but I don't think they do. I think that department is different.
It could be more driven by financial. We're coming into the last month of Q2, so it could be used to boost earnings.
Yeah, that
revenue.
seems a lot more likely, doesn't it?
I think the marketing, I don't know for sure for CCP, but I would think the marketing division has a closer look on the financial side than the in-game, what's going on inside the game universe in terms of revenue generation.
Yeah, that to me seems a lot more how businesses work. Is they look at their quarterlies and they plan their sales accordingly, so they don't step on each other. And you need to be strategic with sales, and all that work is done before they look at the what's going on. They may have predicted we're going to change the rubles configuration, so we'll need something to offset that. They may have thought those two things go together, but it doesn't seem likely. It's a lot more, I think, what you're saying, Arya, is tied to the books of the company and stuff. Now, I feel like I'm missing some news. Do you guys have anything out there in chat? The Triglavian, we're still trying to get our heads around what's going on. One thing we want to make clear that was not clear yesterday because we couldn't be, is that everything is working as intended so far as we know. At least that's the word from the community team. Right, Arya? Was there something like that?
Right. Dopamine put out a post right after we ended the stream yesterday indicating that the conclusion of the Triglavians winning an invasion location, nothing was defective or bugs. It was as intended from their side. I think from the player side, we were expecting something. We were expecting a security change, or maybe the system dropping into like a nullsec security status or something. It just ended without any messaging. And in the post, he did indicate there could be better messaging when that occurs, but it really wasn't effective. It was as intended. However, they did not leak what the intended outcome was. We have to figure that out as players. And then today, I guess there's another invasion in what folks think might be a desired system for the Triglavians. There's a bit of a thought that Triglavians want systems with blue stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how much lore backs that up, or is that just based on hobo leaks? But apparently there's an invasion in a system with a blue star. So we get to see what happens if the Triglavians win that.
Oh, I see. Like it may be different. Have the other systems been different? Not have had blue stars?
Well, I've been told they have not had blue stars. I think it was yellow and maybe red.
I see. So maybe they're assaulting multiple systems, but the blue ones are the ones they actually anchor into, or something like that. Well, we'll see. This is going to take a while to play out. Not sure what this invasion looks like. You can catch streamers streaming invasions all day, at least the last 2 or 3 days, and I'm sure that will go on.
I'm really interested to see what it is, since the Phase 2 Dreadnought sites were my main income source for the past few.
Oh, explain that. What do you mean?
Since they give payouts, they're better than I can do subcap routing, and a lot more interesting. I've been running those sites as one of my main income sources, and occasionally a little bit more valuable skill book or blueprint drops as well. Kind of like how people make money from incursions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There was an almost fight yesterday in LowSec. There was a Fortizor timer, and Snuff was there. PL, Horde, C, Initiative, Goon Swarm and rest of Imperium. Over 1,000 people in local, and Elise Randolph was there. Killer
Wow.
B was there. Matani was there.
Goblins was there.
On different sides.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of, high profile actors in that system.
The executive suite came out to see what the generals were doing, or the admirals.
There was no fight, but the Imperium warped in on the Fortizar to kill the Sino and warped out, saying "good fight." And that was the shouting "is positive and local." Unfortunately, a sacrilege disconnected when we warped on a Fortizar grid, in which the other forces then killed it and then screamed "good fight." 1,000 plus people and 2 ships died.
I'm in a fleet with goblins. I start taking bets on how long it'll take for him to get primaried, since he uses a character with an A name and he's famous.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
I know nothing about an A name or a double A name.
Yeah, right. That's a lot of eyeing, not a lot of dancing. But okay. It'll happen. But okay, so that's interesting. That was where?
Some
I can't
system
pronounce it.
Yeah,
Obucky.
But Pure Blind?
No, it was Losec Black Rise.
Oh,
or it was a snuffed out Fortizar time.
right. You did say Snuff. I didn't catch the system or the region. So Black Rise, that's low sec. That's actually Snuff's typical home. So this is Imperium going after Snuff, and Snuff really getting the help of PandaFam, it sounds like.
It was mostly, it wasn't, it was there was a 450 initiative in Goon Swarm with about 1,000 people local. Looked like it could have been a fight, but
Yeah.
unfortunately nothing really materialized except for a dead pilgrim and a dead sack.
Yeah. Well, it was a standoff, right? For sure. It was a standoff, just didn't happen. We'll see how that goes. All right. Well, I think that's all the news we have for today. So we will. This is usually considered.
There was actually a fight just now. Initiative looks like they tried to drop on a fraternity running an NPC Sotiyo and got the umbrella.
That's not even registering on Dotlan for the last 3 hours. What area was that in? Fountain?
It was in Oasa. It was initiative was attacking R-ZESX.
I got it. Yeah, I'm tracking it now. I thought it was in Fountain, but yeah, it's in Oasa. Here it is.
I wonder if Cable was involved.
Oh, because of the Sotiyo thing?
Yep.
That's something that happened. We saw NC Dot get the final blow on a Sotiyo. We thought that was kind of odd because it was deep into ratting area for fraternity, I believe.
The further Russians.
Yeah. Well, here's the fight we're pulling out. It looks like fraternity dropped Titans on this one. So, if I'm looking at the right stuff, what are these nomads? What, these guys got caught up in it or something? I don't know.
The freighters are to extract the.
That's right.
To extract the.
Yeah, just before we went live, Pando went live on Twitch with the title, is this suicide? And I'm seeing in chat, Ginger is saying, this is Cable's doing. And I'm wondering why we didn't see Cable this morning.
You're right. All right, we'll keep our eye on that. Keep our eyes on that. Yeah, it's a big drop for fraternity.
The corporation of one of the Fenrir's, it's Cable's Corp. So I guess he was trying to steal it from fraternity.
And if you look at the freighter's fits, that's what I've seen in previous kill mails related to Sotiyo loot. 2 expanded cargo holds, and an inertial stabilizer.
That's almost what you use to carry a Keepstar, but only the... Well, yeah.
Komodo dropped too. So I
Okay,
wonder who got it.
Oh, so the Komodo did drop. Oh, I wonder. Oh, people are fighting over Sotiyos. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. It's supposed to happen a long time ago. What's happening now? All right,
It's the
very
second
cool.
fight over Sotiyo in like the last week, I think.
Yeah, that's news. I miss a good trend. All right, guys, that's
High value asset.
that's all we have time for today. We will see you again tomorrow. Now let's look for a raid.
And during the stream, I helped pipe bombs a goon fleet.
Oh, really?
Yep, goons were bashing an Athenor in Blackrise, so Waffles formed up smart bombing battleships and got enough to be...
Oh, cool. Well, you know what? Pando is actually streaming. Let's take you to him. Maybe they are still in cleanup mode there. We'll see. Here you go. And have a good morning, guys.